Joe Manchin is a Democrat in name, but over and over again, he shows us that he is as conservative as can be. He has sided with Republicans over and over again. And in a recent interview with Neil Cavuto on Fox News, he shared his genuine thoughts on Bernie Sanders.
The Bernie Sanders thing, would you support his agenda?
Absolutely not. And Bernie and I have had many conversations. I think that Bernie brings a lot to the table, makes you think a little bit, kind of gets the blood going and stirring and everything, but it's not practical where I come from. Bernie keeps saying Medicare for all. I says, Bernie, we can't even pay for Medicare for some. I says, right now the trust fund's going to go broke by 2026, and these are people that paid into it and earned it. Now you want to expand it, what happens? So it doesn't make sense at all.
What if he were your nominee for president and it's him versus Donald Trump? Who do you vote for?
Well, it wouldn't be Bernie.
All right, so it would be the president, unless you leave it blank.
Wouldn't be Bernie.
Would it be Donald Trump?
Let's just say I'm going to make decisions based on what's best for my country and my state.
So, a Medicare for all, I mean, we can't even pay for Medicare for some. No one reads the bill. 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 It makes me crazy, right? Yeah. So it's not, oh, we're gonna take the system as it is today and just expand it without changing anything else. It is titled Medicare for all. It is not the same program. It expands Medicare for all. It fully funds Medicare for all by raising taxes on people that I'm sure, pad your pockets in campaign donations. So that's why you say you're against it. But like, why is he even a Democrat? Why does he say he's a Democrat? Why is that his label? And more importantly, why do establishment Democrats go after Bernie Sanders for being an independent in Vermont? But they don't go after disgusting people like Joe Manchin who pretend to be a Democrat, but side with Republicans again and again and again.
Yeah, so look, this is a great example of putting a lie to the idea of unity. So unity doesn't mean that we all agree. It means that progressives should do obedience to the establishment.
Nope.
Because by the way, there's another independent, Angus King from Maine. He's another senator. He caucuses with the Democrats, but he's an independent and he's much more conservative. He's more conservative than the average Democrat. And when there was an actual Democrat running against him in the last Senate race, the Democratic Party supported Angus King rather than the actual Democrat. Now, why did they do that? If we were for unity and you cared so much about the D on the helmet and you had your pom-poms on and you're a Democrat no matter what, you would have supported the Democrat in the race. They're like, no, why? Because they like that Angus King is more conservative. They like that he takes more money from the same donors they take money from. So Joe Manchin, I don't know if he read the bill or not. It doesn't matter. If he did read the bill, he would be more against it. He's like, well, this would hurt my donors a lot and it would just help the American people. And I'm definitely not in favor of that. No way it's gonna be Bernie, because Joe Manchin will not vote with the voters under penalty of law.
And notice his framing. The way that he frames his objection to Medicare for all makes it appear as though the voters in his state are against Medicare for all, or they wouldn't be in favor of it, they don't think it's practical. Oh, really? So you're telling me the good people of West Virginia would not want to be fully covered healthcare wise? That would include dental, it would include optical, it would include everything they could possibly need. You're telling me that your voters would be against that. No, it's a lie, it's a lie. When he's saying that, you're right, Cenk, he's specifically referring to the donors, not the actual voters.
Sure, I can prove more of that, right? So first of all, West Virginia is one of the poorest states. Under Medicare for all, the rates that people pay overall when you combine healthcare and taxes, the top 5% pay more, everybody else pays less. So if you come from a state like Connecticut, that might not be great because there's a lot of people in the top 5% in Connecticut, okay? But in West Virginia, that would be fantastic for your voters. They would almost all pay less, except for critical donors to Joe Manchin. And then I'll go further. He says, well, look, I'm a Democrat, but I just can't stomach Bernie Sanders, so my state doesn't want that. Now, you wanna know who won in the Democratic primaries in 2016? In West Virginia, Bernie Sanders won overwhelmingly.
Yep.
Because West Virginians aren't more conservative, and they're certainly not more corporate, they're more populist. The reason they went overwhelmingly for Trump is because they perceived him to be the more populist candidate between him and Hillary Clinton. But when they had a choice between Hillary Clinton and Bernie Sanders, they went overwhelmingly for Bernie Sanders. So Joe Manchin says, I will vote for more corporate Democrats like Hillary Clinton and Joe Biden, who my state hates, but I will not vote for Bernie Sanders, even though, especially the Democrats in my state, and I'm a Democrat in my state, the Democrats in my state greatly prefer Bernie Sanders. But no, my donors don't. But he's never challenged on that because there's a blockade on cable about talking about donors and talking about their corruption.
You're right,
so
yeah.
That they never mention the real reason he's against Bernie Sanders.
Now, since we were discussing unity, I do think it's important to juxtapose the way that Manchin talked about Bernie in an interview that Bernie had in regard to Joe Manchin. So earlier, CNBC interviewed Bernie Sanders and asked, well, how are you gonna accomplish things with people like Joe Manchin? And here's what Bernie had to say.
Even if you have a successful election and you get elected, even if it's successful to the point that Democrats win a small majority in the Senate, is Joe Manchin gonna vote for your program?
Yeah.
Is John Tester gonna vote
Damn
for your
right
program?
they will. You know why? And they're friends of mine.
Yeah.
Because we're gonna go to West Virginia, which is maybe the poorest state, well, one of the poorest states in this country. Look, what happens right now, your average politician sits around and he or she thinks, they say, let's see, if I do this, I'm gonna have the big money interest putting 30-second ads against me. So I better not do it. But now they're gonna have to think, if I don't support an agenda that works for working people, I'm gonna have President Sanders come into my state and rally working class people. You know what? At the end of the day, the 1% is very powerful. No denying that. The 99%, when they're organized and prepared to stand up and fight, they are far more powerful.
So, Anna, sorry, there was another interview that Bernie Sanders said that in. The interview I did months ago, it was the first time he said, I challenged him on it. I said, how are you gonna get Joe Manchin to vote for your bills? Because he's not gonna vote for him. And it turns out, of course, I was right. And I partly know that because I also interviewed Joe Manchin a while back, and he has no interest in any progressive priorities. And so, and when challenged on that, Bernie said, I'll go do rallies in West Virginia. And so now he's been saying that in interviews ever since. Obviously, Joe Manchin's not happy about that because corporate Democrats are used to being really comfortable and cushy in their club and never ever challenged by anyone, not by the media, not by other Democrats. And actually the Republicans go softest on them because they're like, oh, you're gonna help me with my votes? Yeah, go ahead, Joe, yeah. And then they'll turn around and go, see, even Joe Manchin agrees with us. Oh, we're so bipartisan here, right? So he's a very useful tool for the Republicans.
Yep.
So now when Bernie says, yeah, if I'm president, I'm gonna challenge Joe Manchin, he's like, oh, my beloved power. No, this is unacceptable. I will not vote for Bernie under any circumstance. So when you hear Democratic leadership and establishment talking about unity, understand that it is 100% a lie. We just showed it to you and we just proved it to you. There's Joe Manchin saying, I will not vote for the Democratic nominee for president, and not one peep out of Democratic leadership. They think that is a perfectly fine thing to say. But if you dare say as a progressive that you might not vote for a corporate Democrat who's the nominee, they're like, how dare you? You cost the election. Has one Democrat in the country so far said Joe Manchin would cost us the election?
No, of course not. Not that I've seen.
So,
but the viciousness toward Bernie continues. They're
100%.
relentless.
Yeah. They will accuse Susan Sarandon of costing elections more than they'll accuse Joe Manchin, a sitting Democratic senator, saying, I will not vote for the Democratic nominee for president if it's Bernie Sanders.
Let me just say, and he has a history of this as well. So The Hill wrote about what happened in 2012. Manchin was also on the fence in the 2012 presidential election between Obama and then GOP nominee Mitt Romney, right? So he was like playing this game of, I don't know if I'm gonna vote for Obama. But I don't remember establishment Democrats calling him out on that either.
Never. Instead, in fact, they go in the exact opposite direction, and Chuck Schumer say, no, we can't vote on that. Joe Manchin doesn't want to vote on that. I don't want to jeopardize Joe Manchin. Why do we have these corporate Democrats in office if they prevent bills from passing rather than help bills from passing? There's no logic in it except cold, hard cash. It's all about the donors and the corruption. Thanks for watching The Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.